Power Rangers Turbo was not the success Saban was hoping it would be, and with the franchise being on a consistent downward spiral in terms of popularity, it was ultimately decided that Power Rangers would come to an end. Power Rangers in Space was meant to be the finale to end this story we've been following for 5 years up to this point. And they wanted to go out with a bang, actually stepping away from the constant monster of the day, moral of the week formula, and instead just focusing on telling a real dramatic and serious story. But what if the Sentai footage didn't match up with the story? Who cares? We'll just film new original footage and barely use any Sentai stuff. Which would actually need to be the case. The Sentai this season is based off of Denji Sentai Mega Ranger was not a space epic. Mega Ranger was video game themed and was actually the most like Mighty Morphin, following 5 teenagers in school needing to balance teen life and hero duty. But that didn't matter anymore. This was a finale that was going to pull out all the stops no matter what. If I haven't made it clear throughout this retrospective so far, Power Rangers in Space is my favorite TV show of all time. Yeah, not just favorite Power Rangers season. I bought so many toys from sketchy Power Rangers forums, I wore the Morpher all day sometimes, and I'm pretty sure the VHS of the season I have is worn out with how many times I've watched it and rewound it. But does it still hold up? Am I just blinded by nostalgia? Is Power Rangers in Space really deserving of being the epic finale to the series? Well, let's find out. From Out of Nowhere Part 1, we kick things off with a recap of Turbo, with the Rangers losing their powers and heading into space to find Zordon. We see all of the evil forces gathering on a planet to celebrate. Zed and Rita, the Machine Empire, and of course Divatox. Rita and Divatox clearly don't like each other. I guess they're arguing about who's more annoying. In a fit of rage, Rita shoots at Divatox, but her blast gets intercepted by a new face. This is Astronoma, and once again, I think I've fallen in love. There's also a mysterious hooded figure roaming around the base. The fabled Dark Spectre makes his debut, and it's Malagor. Yeah, from the Turbo movie. Yeah, they just reused his costume, but I don't mind, it's a cool design. He says that they've successfully captured Zordon and are currently draining his power and life force for their own evil uses. Lord Zed proposes a toast and everyone drinks. Apart from the hooded figure, when Astronoma proclaims that
he's a spy.
A little brawl ensues until Goldar grabs a hold of the cloak and rips it off, revealing a Red Ranger. He's learned about the United Alliance of Evil's plan and manages to fight his way out of there. Angered by their secret being revealed, Dark Spectre puts Astronoma in charge of the Dark Fortress and to lead the charge against the Ranger. Meanwhile, the Turbo Rangers are drifting through space, still physically and morally wounded. On the plus side though, Alpha's voice chip is broken and he can't talk. Hey yo, what's up with that? Eventually the Rangers come across a bigger spaceship, the Astro Megaship, and weirdly enough, their spacecraft is able to perfectly dock onto it. Our heroes explore the megaship. It's a very long, intense scene. Nobody knows whether this is a hostile place. But hey, they got that futuristic microwave that can cook any food, so how evil can it be? We eventually learn that this is the ship of that mysterious Red Ranger from earlier. TJ tries to explain themselves, but the Ranger doesn't want to hear it, immediately resorting to fleeing and throwing fists. Despite everyone saying they're on the same side and looking for Zordon. Astronoma starts blasting at the ship and the Red Ranger changes his focus. The blast damaged the engine and the Turbo Rangers immediately jump into action, repairing it and proving to the Red Ranger that they are on the same side. However, it's too late and the ship crashes on a nearby planet, where Astronoma's foot soldiers, the Quantrons, approach it. The Red Ranger plans to confront the Quantrons by himself, but TJ says that they're going with him, whether he wants the help or not. Part 2 kicks off with a fight, the Turbo Rangers still beaten up and powerless, but managing to hold their own. After they all defeat the Quantrons, the Red Ranger demorphs. We learn his name is Andros, and he's an alien from the planet KO-35. He also has beautiful Smucker's hair, but that's besides the point. Ashley is the first to approach him and clearly develops a quick crush.
I'm Cassie. It's really nice to meet you.
And I'm Ashley.
Despite being on the same page and trusting the Turbo Rangers, Andros still wants to work alone, refusing to accept help at every turn. He says that they're from Earth and clearly don't know anything about space. While initially coming off as cold and selfish, we will learn later down the road why Andros prefers to work alone. He even manages to fix Alpha and give him a new voice.
I can speak again!
One that's so much more tolerable, thank you, Andros. He fixes the Turbo Ranger spacecraft and leaves them on the planet for them to fly back to Earth. However, Alpha manages to sneak aboard the Astro Megaship and tries to convince Andros that the Power Rangers are a team, and that the search for Zordon will literally be impossible by himself. Meanwhile, Astronoma and more Quantrons return to the planet and take the Rangers captive, beating them up some more and trying to get information out of them about Andros. Before anything terrible can happen, Andros blasts at the enemies and runs out of his ship, handing brand new morphers to the team.
Alright, let's rock it!
And with that, the teens are the Power Rangers once again, with the only change being that TJ is the Blue Ranger and Carlos is the Black. Where do I begin? I love the Astromorphers. They have such a simple and practical design. The morphing sequence itself is really cool, the futuristic techno music with all these stats and weapons in the background. I also really like the suits. They're incredibly simple, sure, with the only weird thing being the colored squares on the chest, but apart from that, I think it's easily the sleekest design so far, very fitting for the space adventure season. The Rangers, equipped with their new powers and weapons, finally managed to catch a W. You got the Spiral Saber and the Astro Axe, it's so amazing. When the Rangers board the ship, Alpha makes a pretty big discovery. The spacecraft the Rangers took from Nasada is able to perfectly merge with the Astro Megaship, creating the Astro Megazord. The Astro Megazord is pretty cool. It's not my favorite looking Megazord, but it's still a classic. They destroy Astronoma's ship and celebrate a victory. We cut to the Rangers finally being able to catch some rest, even getting some new uniforms that I really like. The Astro Megaship is essentially the new power chamber. Alongside Alpha, there's Deca, an AI machine that overlooks the operations. The episode ends with Andros being reluctant but willing to have a team. But the Astro Megaship was severely damaged during the fight, so the Rangers decide to head back to Earth for supplies and repairs, with Astronoma right on their tail. The From Out of Nowhere two-parter is excellent, taking its time to set up the new villain, the despair and hopelessness of the Turbo Rangers, and Zordon's slow demise, as well as the mystery of the new Red Ranger. Astronoma in these early episodes is very annoying, not in the same way as Divatox, but she's very bratty, like a spoiled teenage girl. Andros is so cool. He's the first Red Ranger to not be an inherent leader, preferring to work alone and is an alien, not only literally, but to his new team. The theme song is, oh my god, the Power Rangers in Space theme song goes so absolutely hard. It starts off so cheesy with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Rangers in space! And what Power Rangers song isn't complete without the word go somewhere in it? Go Power Rangers! Go Power Rangers! The two-parter took itself very seriously, raised the stakes with Zordon's limited time and all the villains now working together. So, let's continue onwards. With the next episode, Save Our Ship, we get introduced to some familiar faces. Yup, Bulk and Skull are back. They look up into the sky and see an alien spaceship. This essentially motivates their characters for the rest of the season, looking to find and capture aliens. They do this by befriending a crazy old scientist named Professor Phenomenus. He's an insanely over-the-top inventor who has a few screws loose. Think Professor Egad. Like, literally. He works really well with the duo, being just as wacky and incompetent. We also see that Elgar, for some godforsaken reason, was sent to assist Astronoma. Luckily, however, he's not a permanent general, as we'll later see in this episode. The Rangers land on Earth and head to the surf spot. I guess since Bulk and Skull weren't going to be interacting with Detective Stone this season, they opted to just make a whole new place altogether. The surf spot is ran by Adele. Her character is just a loving auntie who loves to cook. I like her. It's here we learn that Andros has telekinesis, pouring hot sauce into Bulk's milkshake after he sees him being mean to Skull. The Rangers overhear the duo talking about a spaceship one night, and find out they're actually talking about the Dark Fortress. The Rangers quickly gather the material, but get ambushed by the Quantrons, and they fight. The Rangers' fears came true, with Astronoma planning to blow up the Nasada space station so the Rangers can't launch back to the Astro Megaship. She sends down the real big man of this season, Ecliptor. He is so badass, having this threatening voice and super serious demeanor. It's crazy it's taken this long for Power Rangers to have a serious general. The Rangers manage to fend him off momentarily and head to the spacecraft, where they just barely manage to flee to the Astro Megaship. And with the Rangers now having the supplies, they're able to create the Astro Megazord again and do enough damage to Ecliptor so he can flee. Astronoma also changed her hair color, like she's Ramona Flowers. And yeah, this will not be the last time she does it. Andros and Ashley spend some quality time together to strengthen their relationship. But with Astronoma's plan kind of succeeding and blowing up Nasada, what vile and despicable plan does she have next? Well, she tells Elgar to set course for New York City. Why, you may ask? What could possibly be in New York City?
Whoa! Anybody care to guess what just happened?
Yeah! Canonically, in the Power Rangers universe, not only does New York actually exist, but so do the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Guys, I swear this is supposed to be the serious season. So yeah, this is a crossover episode. The turtles here are based off of the Next Mutation TV series, hence why there's a 5th female turtle, Venus. I have never watched the Next Mutation, but I'm willing to bet anything it's hot garbage. This crossover is so whatever. It feels a bit out of place, like this crossover was supposed to happen during Turbo. Basically, Astronoma brainwashes the turtles to fight the Rangers until the Rangers break the spell and they all work together to fight the dark forces. It definitely happened. Never stop searching. We see Andros watching some kind of recording of him and his sister when they were children. While playing one day, Andros' sister was abducted, and he's been traumatized and searching for her ever since, with Carlos being the only one who knows about this since he walked in on the video playing. We also see that Andros has a locket, but we don't know what's inside. Andros receives a message saying that his sister is on KO-35. Andros goes down alone and tells Dekka not to tell the others where he is. It of course ends up being a trap set by Ecliptor, where now Andros has to fend for himself. The team eventually realize that Andros is missing, and Carlos goes down to find him, where he ends up saving Andros by taking an attack head on. It's a really good episode. Andros feels bad for putting Carlos in danger, but it wouldn't have happened if the whole team was there, with Andros once again needing to learn that he has friends who want to be there and help him. That he's actually made some genuine friends. Satellite search. The Rangers get a video message from the Nasada commander, saying that one of their satellites containing important information was shot down from space, and that it might contain information as to where Zordon is. I guess this episode also confirms that Nasada knows about the Power Rangers and actively works together to help. The Rangers go to a desert planet where the satellite was shot down from, with Astronoma's forces not being far behind. She also changed her hair color again. The Rangers find the discs but get ambushed by the villains. Astronoma even gets involved in the fight, but gets visibly worried when her locket gets torn away from her. Anyway, the Rangers fight the monster and manage to save the discs. It turns out there wasn't any information about Zordon, just Nasada research. While technically a filler episode, it really does do a good job of what this season is about, showing that the Rangers are actively visiting other planets and looking for clues as to where Zordon is. The episode even ends with a sad Alpha talking to himself looking at the discs, asking,
Were we close, Zordon? I wonder.
A Ranger among Thieves. TJ, Carlos, Ashley, and Cassie go back to school for a test? Excuse me? I feel like there's more important things to worry about. Anyway, Andros goes to the surf spot while everyone else is in school to make some new friends. Unfortunately, these friends are thieves, and Andros uses his telekinesis to commit crimes. Unknowingly to him. It's an alright episode, giving Andros some character development. He's pretty oblivious to most things, but has too big of a heart to think the worst of someone. He even manages to make some of the thieves admit to their crimes and turn over a new leaf. When push comes to shove, Cassie leaves her diary at the surf spot, and two guys find it for her. George and Lenny. Your high school English teacher is having a blast right now. Lenny, the smaller guy, uses the diary as blackmail, saying Cassie can have it back if she goes on a date with her friend George. A timid but overall sweet-looking guy, which she hesitantly agrees to. Meanwhile, Professor Phenomenus creates a plutonium reactor or something. He basically made a nuke that is being kept in this tall building. Meanwhile, Cassie convinces George to ditch Lenny, and the two seemingly have a nice time. However, Astronoma sends down an elephant monster to knock down the building and have the nuclear reactor go off. And wouldn't you know it, Cassie and George are having their date in the same building. The other Rangers need to use the Mega Tank, a new vehicle that'll rarely be used. And Cassie can't morph since she's with George. The Rangers save the two, Cassie morphs, they fight the monster and stop the nuke from blowing up. The episode ends with George apologizing for using the diary as blackmail and asks Cassie out on a date for real. She says yes, but what about the Phantom Ranger? Nah, I'm just kidding. The writers probably forgot all about him already. The Craterite Invasion. The Astro Megaship has a training simulation where the Rangers can fight these goofy creatures known as Craterites. After a thunderstorm, it somehow messes with the programming and the Craterites escape into the real world. They go to Earth and take on the form of humans. The side story follows this little kid who's constantly telling lies for no reason. So naturally, when he sees the Craterite humans, nobody believes him. That is until the Rangers find him and believe the story. It's pretty creepy stuff, them hiding in broad daylight, just blending in and waiting to attack, tying up the humans they're taking on the appearance of. Now, in Mega Ranger, the Craterites were the actual Sentai's foot soldiers. The Quantrons are an American-made creation, which I give props to. The Quantrons are way cooler than these goofy pink things. However, for this episode, they're actually able to use the Sentai footage of the Rangers fighting them. The Rangers stop the Craterites, and this kid learns to never tell a lie again. The Wasp with a Heart. We see a wasp monster that's very harmless, clearly not wanting to be a villain, but having it forced onto him. When him and Cassie get into a fight, the Wasp clearly has the upper hand and can blast Cassie into a million pieces, but can't do it, where the two develop a bit of a friendship. However, the Wasp now feels worthless, not being able to do what he was seemingly created for. It's a really good episode with tons of heart. There's another Wasp monster that is evil, and he takes over when the nice Wasp doesn't listen, even fighting back against Astronoma when Cassie's in danger. Astronoma then blasts the Wasp, and Cassie gives her the most intense death stare I've ever seen.
Let's rock it! Power Rangers! Yeah!
They defeat the bad monster, and the episode has a nice ending, with the Wasp still not sure if he can live in this world since he's a monster and will always have people judging him, but still wants to do good, despite what everyone might initially judge him for. The Delta Discovery. We start off with Divatox and the Piranhatron transporting Zordon to another planet, with the Phantom Ranger not far behind, witnessing everything that's going on. He creates a video message but gets ambushed. He manages to fight the Piranhatron off for a bit, long enough to shoot his message into space. However, it's Astronoma and her forces that really get the upper hand on the Phantom Ranger. Meanwhile, the Space Rangers receive the message, informing them that he's found Zordon, and head to the planet to see if he's still there. They fight off Ecliptor, and we get a nice reunion with last season's heroes. He informs the team that Divatox has already left, but their forces are strong. The Phantom Ranger then gives Andros a key to access a new weapon, the Delta Megaship. To throw the Rangers off their tail, Astronoma sends a monster down to Earth. Andros says he'll go and retrieve the new ship, with the rest of the team going down to fight the monster, with the Phantom Ranger saying he'll be okay on his own for now. But when the Rangers leave, we see that he's badly wounded. The Rangers are struggling to fight the monster, being a 2-on-1. Andros eventually navigates his way around the space station and locates the Delta Megaship. He flies it down to Earth, but there's a surprise. The ship is also a Megazord. The Delta Megazord. This is easily the coolest Zord of all time. It has sunglasses and machine gun hands. With this new power, the Rangers defeat the monsters. They try to get a track on Divatox's ship carrying Zordon, but they can't find it anymore. The Rangers return back to the planet the Phantom Ranger was on, but he's gone, leaving a video message saying that he survived but will continue the search for Zordon. However, he does leave a nice extra message for Cassie, promising her that he'll be okay and not to worry. Duh. The Great Evilizer. Professor Phenomenus creates an evil ray, a machine that turns things evil. Why would you do that in the world of Power Rangers? Why would you not create a goodizer? Whatever. Astronoma gets a hold of it and turns things evil, including the Delta Megazord. However, they punch it enough times and it turns good again. When the Rangers then discover a new feature. Using the Battleizer that came with the Delta Megazord, they can press a button and combine the two Zords to create the Astro Delta Megazord. Now this thing kicks even more ass, with the Gatling guns being on the shoulders. That's peak. Like, who in their right mind would mess with this thing? Grandma Matchmaker. Ashley's grandma comes for a visit with the intention of finding her a husband. So to get out of this situation, she tells her grandma that her and Carlos are actually dating. That's about it, really. Kind of the first real nothing filler episode. The Beryllian Sting. This is actually a really important episode, mainly because we get introduced to a new main villain, Darkonda. He seems to have a history with Ecliptor. He comes off as a very conniving snake in the grass. He releases a bug that bites Carlos that seemingly has no cure, and will slowly turn him into a monster. Darkonda sneaks his way onto the Dark Fortress to inform Astronoma of his deed, in order to get into her good graces. Weirdly though, he says that they've actually met a long time ago, but Astronoma doesn't remember that. He's clearly trying to sneak his way up the ranks over Ecliptor so he can have control. Meanwhile, Carlos isn't doing so well. Andros says that KO-35 was working on a cure, so him and TJ venture off to find it, with Cassie and Ashley needing to stay behind on board to look after Carlos. It's another really solid episode, with Andros and TJ needing to fight Darkonda to get the cure before he does, while Ashley and Cassie are in like a horror movie, being stalked by the mutated Carlos. They eventually find the medicine, cure Carlos, whoop Darkonda, and destroy the Beryllian bug. The episode ending with Andros and Ashley looking over the abandoned KO-35. Andros once again worrying about his missing sister. TJ's identity crisis. With Darkonda slowly worming his way into Astronoma's ranks, he convinces her that he has a brilliant plan to stop the Rangers. The Rangers set up a satellite to track Zordon, so Ecliptor and Darkonda go down to destroy it. When the Rangers show up, however, Darkonda betrays Ecliptor and fuses their bodies together, becoming Dark Cliptor, which is an awesome name. Darkonda having full control. Dark Cliptor is super powerful, capturing Ashley, Carlos, and Cassie, and landing a strike so powerful on TJ's head that Andros and him are forced to retreat. After Andros tends to TJ's wounds, he wakes up with amnesia, not knowing literally anything. Meanwhile, Darkonda tells Astronoma that Ecliptor actually turned on him, and was forced to fuse together so the plan wouldn't go wrong. Darkonda is such a snake. I always hated him so much as a kid. Andros is forced to go down and fight Dark Cliptor alone, with TJ slowly walking around trying to remember. His memory eventually returns. They free the other Rangers and lay the smackdown on Dark Cliptor. Even during the Megazord fight, when the Rangers are about to land the final strike, Darkonda unfuses with Ecliptor and uses him as a shield. Now, we do learn that the only reason Ecliptor just doesn't destroy Darkonda is because Darkonda says that he'll reveal the truth to Astronoma, which Ecliptor clearly doesn't want to happen. I wonder what that is. Also, in a fit of rage, Ecliptor raises his sword to Darkonda, and of course Astronoma just so happens to walk in on it, saying that Astronoma didn't believe Darkonda's story at first, but now she does. Astronoma is a very interesting villain. Being a teenager makes her easy to manipulate emotionally, which Darkonda takes full advantage of. Flashes of Darkonda. We once again see Andros watching the footage of his sister being abducted. However, this time, for some unexplained reason, we get a new camera angle of the abduction, showing that it was clearly Darkonda who stole Corone. So, while TJ and Cassie go to the Dagobah system,
we're gonna go check out a planet in the Dagobah system.
Disney doesn't own Power Rangers yet. Andros, in a fit of rage, then goes to the planet Onyx, a Wild West-looking planet where all the villains seem to gather. Darkonda is of course there, and demands a super potion from the bartender, but Ecliptor is one step ahead, and forces the bartender to instead give Darkonda a mysterious drink. A game of cards then ensues between Darkonda, some other monsters, and a vaguely familiar hooded figure. They play for some key cards that were apparently stolen from the Battle of Eltar. The hooded figure wins them, and Darkonda wants to make a trade. The hooded man tells him that he'll give them Zordon's key cards for information, asking about KO-35, where Darkonda admits that he stole a little girl years ago, and he wouldn't believe where she is now. Before he can further explain, he notices the Morpher, quickly catching on that the hooded man is a Power Ranger. A really solid fight then happens. Seriously, the American fight choreography is really good and always has been. Unlike Mighty Morphin though, that focused on martial arts, here it's some really solid swordplay. Andros manages to escape off the planet with the key cards, where the rest of the team find out it was Darkonda who kidnapped Andros' sister. He challenges the Rangers to a fight, willing to exchange more information for the key cards. However, when Darkonda drinks what he thinks is the strength potion, he turns into a rabid monster, leaking goo. How wonderful. He grows big and they summon the Astro Delta Megazord. However, whatever was in that potion is proving too much, since the final strike wasn't enough to take him out. And to add insult to injury, Darkonda summons another monster to fight by his side, with the episode ending with the Zord and Ranger safety in serious jeopardy. The Rangers' Mega Voyage. Alpha finds out that the key cards are actually the keys to a powerful weapon hidden on one of Jupiter's moons. So with no other choice, the Rangers detach the Delta Megazord and fly into space to find it, leaving Alpha in control of the Astro Megazord to try and defend the Earth from Darkonda. Astronoma finds out what's going on and follows the Rangers to the moon. A big fight breaks out between the Rangers and the Quantrons, before the Rangers manage to get away and continue their search, where they eventually come across the Mega Vehicles. Mega V1, V2, V3, V4, and V5. All unique vehicles that the Rangers can individually control. Astronoma sends that monster to attack Andros, and it's a really interesting fight scene because there's no music. Along with being filmed primarily in the dark, it really feels out of place, but in a good way. We cut back to Alpha, where him and Dekka aren't doing so good. Darkonda is absolutely thrashing the Astro Megazord, on the brink of total destruction. On their way back to Earth, though, Cassie notices a transformation control.
I've got one too! I'm going for it!
Yes, of course! The Mega Vehicles are able to transform into a Megazord. And when it makes its debut, it's one of the most amazing entrances I've ever seen.
Another one?
It kicks so much ass! This is the Mega Voyager, and it is my #1 Megazord of all time. I think this debut really solidified that when I was a kid. They're able to whoop Darkonda and even blast him to bits with the Mega V3 missile, seemingly destroying him, but we'll learn that it won't be that easy to get rid of Darkonda. The episode ends with a victory, but with the Astro Megaship being pretty damaged. I think this is really the turning point when Power Rangers in Space really started to take itself seriously, not afraid to show more tense scenes and let things play out, not needing to rush plots for the 5-year-olds to get to the Megazord toy commercial, you know? Using more orchestral music and overall feeling like a serious action show. The next episode is a turbo crossover. Yeah, True Blue to the rescue. We start off on a desolate planet, with the Piranhatron wrangling Stormblaster and Lightning Cruiser. Lightning Cruiser is able to distract the Piranhatron and allow Stormblaster to fly away and get some help. The Megaship picks this up, and the former Turbo Rangers are happy to see it, with Andros being like, "I've never heard of a Stormblaster before." Bro, you're a Space Ranger, how have you never heard of it? Meanwhile, Divatox also makes her return, asking for Astronoma to keep an eye out for Stormblaster, where of course, she tells Divatox to shove it. The Rangers track down Stormblaster, but Astronoma's forces also ambush them, with the Rangers taking a big blast to allow Stormblaster to get away. We then cut to Justin, who's looking up into space hoping that his friends are okay, complete with a little montage of the last season. Justin's dad also tells him that they can't go fishing tomorrow because he has work. Has your character not had any growth this entire time? Anyway, Stormblaster kidnaps Justin to help the others, along with a little surprise.
My morpher!
I'm just gonna assume that Stormblaster used some of its own power to charge Justin's morpher, and that's why he's able to morph again. Regardless, a really fun battle breaks out, with Justin once again being able to fight alongside his old teammates. I know I've mentioned this before, but the music has really turned up a notch. Instead of generic rock and roll, we have what's known as a leitmotif, which according to Google is a reoccurring music soundtrack that repeats itself in different forms and in different situations. Think of it like an anime or JRPG. When the big final fight happens, there's always that orchestral rendition of the main theme song. Here's Power Rangers in Spaces. Anyway, the 6 Rangers destroy the monster, but their work isn't done yet. They head to that desert planet in order to free Lightning Cruiser as well. It's really nice to see that the writers really wanted to wrap up any loose ends with this final season. Andros even does this cool spin attack and takes out like 6 Piranhatron. They rescue the vehicles, and Justin tells the Rangers that he thinks about them a lot, and if they ever need him, he'll always be there. Justin is never seen again, kinda. While technically not the first crossover episode, since in Zeo they did team up with the Alien Rangers, it's definitely the first one to have the crossover as the focus, wrapping up the only real loose end right now with the Turbo story. Good stuff. Invasion of the Body Switcher. It's Ashley's birthday, and there's only one thing she wants. Andros says they don't celebrate birthdays on his planet, but still surprised Ashley with a gift. A necklace with a rare gem from KO35. It's a genuinely heartwarming and sweet scene. This relationship has taken its time to show they actually care for each other without forcing any romance, like Tommy and Kat in Zeo. Meanwhile, Astronoma creates a shape-shifting monster that can make anyone look like anyone. She uses this power to look like Ashley so she can board the megaship. A really funny scene then happens where she summons the Quantrons as a distraction, and one of them accidentally hits Astronoma and she fights back for real. Meanwhile, the real Ashley gets kidnapped and tricks the monster into turning her into Astronoma. And when Algar shows up, he stupidly lets her go. We do get a really nice scene though, with Alpha giving Ashley her birthday present, not knowing it's Astronoma, where she seems genuinely touched that someone would give her a gift and not want anything in return, clearly never being shown true, genuine affection before. You bitch! Meanwhile, everyone meets on Earth, including Ashley as Astronoma and Astronoma as Ashley. Ashley as Astronoma tells Andros that Ashley is actually Astronoma. It's confusing, but he eventually believes her and blasts at the Yellow Ranger, revealing that she is in fact Astronoma. The two Astronomas get into a tussle before Andros tests out which one is actually Ashley.
Let's rock it!
Oh man, that's so funny. Astronoma morphing into a Power Ranger? That's so ridiculous. That could never happen.
I wouldn't want to be a Power Ranger anyway.
They destroy the monster and it reverses the spell. The episode ends though with Andros sneaking away into a hidden room, and a heart monitor hooked up to someone's body. Survival of the Silver. The Rangers are on an expedition and take some eggs aboard the ship. Meanwhile, the Jawa from Star Wars attacks, and they're forced to retreat. However, just like in Star Wars, they manage to disassemble some of the ship, causing it to malfunction, revealing a hidden door from the last episode. Cassie, Ashley, Carlos, and TJ go to investigate, where they see that the body is a Silver Ranger. Andros proclaiming that his name is Zane, and he's his best friend. He tells the team that it was just him and Zane defending KO-35 from Dark Spectre's forces. Their numbers were too much, and Zane protected Andros, ultimately sacrificing his life. That was 2 years ago. Zane's been in a coma and cryogenically frozen for 2 years, in hopes that he wakes up one day. The team are shocked that Andros would keep this as a secret and wonders why he never told them. But he doesn't give an answer. He never does. It's possible that this is why Andros tends to act as a lone wolf. When he had a friend, it ended badly. This also possibly explains where the other Space Rangers' powers came from. If Zane ended up in a coma, it's not impossible to think that the rest of Andros' team weren't as lucky. To rub some salt in the wound, the eggs that the Rangers brought aboard the ship start to hatch, releasing a monster and causing the ship to crash back on the Jawa planet. The Rangers are outnumbered, the monster is proving too powerful, and the little Jawa creatures are making their way on board, causing mayhem and destruction. So much so that the Silver Ranger's heart monitor flatlines, causing Andros to go on a violent, depressive rampage through the enemies. However, the heart monitor detects activity, and the little Jawa creatures get kicked off the ship. Zane is alive and well, making a grand entrance and absolutely whooping that monster with his Super Silverizer, which is a great name. It's a blade and blaster combo that I always loved as a kid. They destroy the monster, and Andros and Zane have a nice reunion. And Ashley does that thing she did with Andros.
And I'm Ashley.
Zane being less shy and more of a charmer, kissing Ashley's hand. Zane asks about KO-35, but Andros tries to keep things lighthearted, since he now has his friend back. Red with envy. Andros is finally trying to ask out Ashley on a date, but is clearly nervous to ask. When he finds her though, Zane is teaching her telekinesis, all while making her laugh and being charming, which immediately angers Andros. A monster shows up on Earth and Zane takes charge, once again impressing Ashley to the dismay of Andros. However, before they can finish the job, Zane demorphs in the middle of the fight. Darkonda shows up and says that he has a factory that can produce unlimited monsters. The Rangers head back to the ship, and Andros once again tries to ask out Ashley, where Zane interrupts him to talk about Darkonda. He also eats Ashley's cupcake with the biggest shit-eating grin. I love him. Andros, though, has had enough. Whenever Zane tries to talk to him, he gets the cold shoulder. Andros telling Zane that he clearly doesn't waste any time trying to get with Ashley. Luckily, though, Zane is a good friend and says that he knows Andros likes her and wouldn't step on his toes like that. But Andros is clearly too upset to care, even demanding that Zane stays behind when a monster attacks Earth. The Rangers get captured and Zane refuses to sit back any longer. However, Ecliptor ambushes him, and the two fight.
Let's rock it!
Zane's morpher is a cell phone, and it's pretty cool to be honest. He defeats Ecliptor, saves the Rangers from the monster, and right when he lands the finishing blow on the monster, he demorphs again. The episode ends, of course, with Andros and Zane making up and staying besties. Andros even finally asking out Ashley on a date to see Haley's comet. But Zane sneaks away to speak with Alpha privately, asking for help, saying that there's something wrong with his powers. The Silver Secret. Andros and Cassie overhear Alpha talking to Zane, saying that he doesn't have much time. This immediately scares the two when they go off to tell the others. However, it turns out that Alpha was talking about Zane's powers, saying he only has 2.5 minutes in his Ranger form before demorphing every time, which Astronoma also figures out. She also has new hair. I also want to quickly mention the theme song. In both Zeo and Turbo, the opening song was about 45 seconds, but as the season went on, it got shortened. However, Power Rangers in Space was so popular at this point that they actually extended the opening song from 30 seconds to 45 seconds. They literally added in a guitar solo and a Bulk and Skull credit, despite not being on the show for a while now.
In space.
Anyway, with the Rangers thinking that Zane is dying, they give him the special treatment, pampering him and not letting him go into battle. He eventually realizes what's going on and takes advantage of it, which is kind of a dick move. Like, you were in a coma for 2 years, this isn't out of the realm of possibility you could be dying. Alpha then tells Zane that essentially his morpher is out of juice, like leaving your car running but not driving it anywhere. And if he can get a strike of lightning, it can be recharged. Apart from that though, he's perfectly healthy, which leads to this pretty funny exchange.
I think I'm dying.
The Rangers don't let Zane go into action though, and when they can really use his help, he decides to spring into action, climbing a mountaintop where a thunderstorm is happening. He holds up his morpher high into the air and lightning strikes it, recharging his powers and allowing him to morph on out to help destroy the monster. With this really awesome triple team attack.
Spiral Saber!
Satellite Stunner!
Super Accelerator! Yeah!
They save the day and get Zane back, feeding him a spinach smoothie and forcing him to clean up the ship for lying to them. It's great, Zane is such a lovable douchebag. A date with danger. Astronoma accidentally attacks her own monster, and it turns on her. Zane is laughing at first, but when he realizes she's in actual danger, he saves her life and flies her to safety. Astronoma then wakes up by a campfire, with Zane giving her some tea. She's disgusted by it, but he didn't think it was that bad. Astronoma then threatens Zane, saying she could destroy him, but he doesn't think she will. And in a cute gesture puts a marshmallow on her staff and takes it from her, teaching her about roasting marshmallows. She shows some vulnerability and enjoys it. Before she leaves, she does thank Zane for saving her. Clearly, they both have a crush on each other. We see Astronoma in the Dark Fortress daydreaming and not worrying about being evil, and Zane is just staring at a picture of... Where did he get that? The Rangers go down to Earth to see a romance movie, where Astronoma disguises herself to look like a normal Earthling. She accidentally bumps into Zane, and the two share a cutesy moment. When he leaves, Astronoma sees that he had a picture of her. Flattered by this, she shoots an arrow in broad daylight, but it's okay because it's an invitation for a date. Ecliptor meanwhile decides to act upon himself and send down a monster. The Rangers go to deal with it, but it's too powerful, needing the help of you-know-who. Zane, meanwhile, is too busy getting ready for his date, and even tries to sneak past Alpha so he doesn't have to worry about helping. Of course he gets caught and is guilt-tripped into helping his friends to not die.
Let's rock it!
So, he morphs on out, destroys the monster, and tries to make it to his date. Unfortunately, because of the attack, he was too late, and Astronoma doesn't take rejection well, blasting at the flowers and telling Zane that nobody stands her up, and that she never wants to see him again. This is still depressing to this day. I feel so bad for Zane and even Astronoma. Literally, this was their one chance to possibly end the evil reign in a peaceful manner. Zane even tells her that he wouldn't have been late if she didn't send down a monster, which she's confused about. Look, I know it's a kid's show and I shouldn't think too deep about it, but like, why did he not go to Astronoma first to say, hey, I'm gonna be late, you sent down a monster and my friends need help? It's not like she doesn't know he's a Power Ranger. But no, we just get a depressed Zane with everyone comedically trying to cheer him up. The episode does have a nice ending though, with Astronoma still keeping her picture of Zane, showing that she does still like him. Zays Destiny. The Rangers are exploring this planet that has some pretty unlivable weather. TJ, Carlos, Ashley, and Cassie get ambushed, however. They're told to put their hands up and get taken to a prison. There's a little colony of people living here, and the Rangers see that there's an infirmary full of people seemingly having coral grow on them. It's pretty shocking stuff, honestly. The man in charge of this little colony is named Quinwan, and a general named Yatru. Quinwan, however, is more willing to hear them out. However, Yatru is a little bastard and plants a coral vial on them, throwing it against the wall as evidence to prove that the Rangers are responsible. They get locked away for now. Meanwhile, Andros and Zane are exploring the planet looking for the others. It's a really good episode. The Rangers don't even morph until like the last 5 minutes. We spend a lot of time with them unmorphed and needing to navigate this place as prisoners of war. Yatru turns out to be evil, shocker, and covers Quinwan and Coral, blaming it on the Rangers so everyone will turn on them. Andros and Zane show up to save the day, and Quinwan's second in command recognizes them. That's because this is actually a small resistance force from KO-35. Yatru releases the coral monster and the Rangers gotta fight. Zane, however, sets his eyes on Yatru. They have a really good fight, with Zane even slashing at him.
Super Summarizer!
Jesus! It's okay though, because it turns out Yatru was actually Darkonda in disguise. He's about to get the upper hand when Quinwan throws Zane his weapon, slashing at Darkonda and blowing him up once again. The episode ends with Zane telling the other Rangers that he's gonna stay behind for now. He wants to help the rebel forces gain some strength and build up their army. It's a pretty sad moment, honestly. Andros just got his friend back and he's already leaving. But don't worry, Zane tells the Rangers they'll see him again, one day when they least expect it. Always a chance. This monster known as the Liz Wizard is able to swap places with anyone his tongue touches. During a fight, Carlos is about to attack the monster, but he switches places with Cassie, having Carlos land a pretty serious hit on her. He feels super guilty and can't shake the feeling that it's all his fault, despite Cassie saying it's not. Regardless, Carlos has this extreme feeling of guilt. Wiz Lizard then attacks Bulk, Skull, and Phenomenus. Hey, what's up? Carlos sees this and is hesitant to help, mainly because he doesn't want to screw anything up again, but morphs on out anyway to fight the monster. His lack of confidence in himself is clearly affecting his skill, because the monster absolutely wipes the floor with him. All hope seems lost. That is until he receives some unexpected help. Adam. He lends a hand and completely whoops the monster unmorphed. It's probably the best unmorphed fight scene in the season. He scares it off for now, and Carlos tells him that he's been feeling down. So Adam, being the nice guy he is, offers to train Carlos to get some confidence back. It's a nice scene since we never really got much Adam and Carlos stuff in Turbo, apart from the one soccer episode. We get a really fun training montage, but Carlos is still too frustrated and doesn't think he's worthy of being a Power Ranger. Alpha's worried, but Adam tells him that Carlos is going to need to choose his own path, like any Ranger needs to do. He comes off as such a wise and seasoned veteran. Finally, after years of this show's existence, Adam is doing something. He even pulls out his broken Mighty Morphin Morpher and wonders if this thing still works, with Alpha horrified, telling him that the power coins were destroyed, and that morphing could possibly destroy him. We immediately cut to Carlos, who's quitting the team. He doesn't want to make another mistake. He goes down to Earth to tell Adam that he's quit. However, Liz Wizard and the Quantron show up to cause trouble. They're clearly outnumbered and outpowered, leading Adam to make a dangerous decision.
No, Adam! It's too big of a risk!
It's morphin' time!
Much to the dismay of Alpha and Carlos.
Mastodon!
Adam morphs into the Black Mighty Morphin Power Ranger to save the day. He tells Carlos to leave and that he can handle it. Adam is actually able to hold his own, but only for a little bit. The powers are clearly weak and won't last. But Carlos then realizes what being a Power Ranger is all about, taking risks for the safety of everyone. So he jumps back in to save Adam. The other Rangers show up to bring Carlos back as Morpher.
I am only human, but I'm also the Black Ranger. Let's rock it!
With his confidence back, he almost hits Adam, but learns his lesson, and they destroy the monster. The episode ends with Adam telling Carlos he knew all along he'd make the right choice. This is such a great episode, and an amazing use of a veteran Ranger. Up until now, I never viewed Adam as cool, but here, he so confidently whooped the monster, trained Carlos, gave him words of wisdom, held his own, and morphed into the Black Ranger without any hesitation, despite knowing it could destroy him. This really is what solidified Adam as the GOAT in my book. The secret of the locket. We start the episode not wasting any time, with Andros and Darkonda having a fight. Andros demanding he tells him where his sister is, and Darkonda is just taunting him. Meanwhile, Ecliptor is watching all this from a distance. Andros gets the upper hand on Darkonda, but Ecliptor steps on a stick and distracts Andros, giving him time to disappear. Where we fade to Astronoma, who's looking into her locket and tells Ecliptor that she feels like her brother is still out there. I think the dots are starting to connect here. She asks Ecliptor about her upbringing, and he tells her that her brother and parents were destroyed by the Power Rangers, and that Ecliptor is taking care of her since she was a little girl. It's here we start to learn more about Ecliptor. He genuinely cares for Astronoma like she's his own daughter. He raised her to be evil, sure, but in a loving kind of way. Heck, back in the episode where she was crushing on Zane, he brought her her favorite dinner to try and cheer her up.
I know when something is troubling you. I practically raised you all by myself. Tell me what it is so I can help you.
Astronoma snaps out of it though and attacks Earth. It's a pretty devastating attack. Seeing all the rubble and fire feels more intense. Astronoma sees a mother with her son and daughter trying to run away. She starts to feel something here. Guilt. And right when a Quantron attacks the family, it gets blasted. But by who?
You?
Darkonda lures out Andros for a fight. He planted a landmine and plans to trick him into stepping on it and blowing him up. Andros starts charging at Darkonda after he continually taunts him, saying things like, "Your sister doesn't even know that you exist." But Ecliptor saves him. In an angry fit of confusion though, Darkonda steps on the landmine and blows himself up. Andros is confused as to what just happened, but Ecliptor doesn't explain, saying he saved him once and won't do it again. Andros returns to the team and has a fight with Astronoma. During the fight, he hits the locket off her neck, but she doesn't have time to retrieve it. The Rangers destroy the monster and Andros returns back to the scene, finding the locket and realizing it matches his. He asks her where she got this, and Astronoma says she's always had it. It's now hit Andros. Astronoma is his sister. She thinks about this for a second before angrily leaving, not wanting to accept it. Andros, however, is dead set on believing Astronoma is his sister and wants to turn her back into Corone. Astronoma thinks twice. Ecliptor has had enough of Darkonda's shit, so the two get into a fight and Darkonda even tries to create Darkliptor again. But this time Ecliptor manages to break free, saying he's mentally stronger, even landing an epic anime sword attack and destroying Darkonda. But it's here we learn that Darkonda has 9 lives, with only 5 remaining. Astronoma has another talk with Ecliptor, wondering why he's lied to her this whole time. He says that he was programmed in a lab, built with every fiber of his being to be evil. But Astronoma wasn't built, but born, and raised to be good. Ecliptor cares for Astronoma and doesn't want to see her become good. He even warns her that Darkonda was snitching to Dark Spectre, saying that she now knows of her past and might betray them. To prove her loyalty, she sends out a monster to KO-35 to attack Andros while he's alone. His morpher gets knocked away and he's in serious danger. However, Astronoma once again gets second thoughts, tossing Andros' morpher. They destroy the monster and later in the day receive a secret video message from Astronoma, telling Andros to meet her on KO-35. Astronoma is confused. She doesn't remember much of her childhood or what to think. And Andros tells her that they always dreamed of being Power Rangers when they were kids. Andros returns to the ship, but he's not alone, much to everyone's disagreement. TJ kinda takes the role of leader here. Since Andros is clearly emotional in this situation and not thinking properly, TJ's the one acting logically, saying that Astronoma can stay on board if she's detained. Not only that, but she has to tell everyone where Zordon is. She agrees to both, and the Rangers set course to Zordon. The Rangers' leap of faith. TJ kept to his word. Astronoma is chained up until they arrive. Andros, though, uses this time to catch up and tell Astronoma about their parents. It's a really nice moment between estranged brother and sister. The planet is under Dark Spectre surveillance, so the Rangers need to act like they were captured.
Robot, open a communication channel.
It wouldn't hurt her to say please, you know.
Please, Alpha.
The weather conditions, however, are pretty bad and causes the ship to crash. When they go to check on Astronoma, she's gone, coming to the conclusion that this must have been a trap all along. Regardless, the Rangers go out to explore the planet to see if Zordon is there. They get jumped by Darkonda and the Piranhatron, where they have strength in numbers. Astronoma comes back though to help Andros and leads him to Zordon. Ecliptor shows up to stop them, but when Astronoma begs Ecliptor to not hurt him, he lowers his sword. His love for Astronoma trumps his mission, where Darkonda, that snake, hits Ecliptor with a sneak attack and knocks him out. Andros and Astronoma make it to Zordon, but he's acting a little different.
I can't believe that you're still such a fool.
This was a trap. Zordon isn't here, but Astronoma also looks genuinely confused by this. Darkonda shows up with the captured Rangers, and Astronoma says that this was all her plan the whole time. I don't even know what the truth is at this point. Dark Spectre commands Astronoma to destroy the Rangers before he leaves, where we then learn Astronoma's true alliance. She was on their side all along, and seemingly thought Zordon was on this planet. Darkonda is extra pissed off now, but he gets blasted and destroyed once again by Ecliptor. He tells Astronoma to leave with the Rangers now so they can get away while they still can. Ecliptor gets brought back to the Dark Fortress, where Dark Spectre says that him and Astronoma's loyalty will never stray again. The episode ends with Astronoma apologizing for everything. All the harm she's caused and leading the Rangers astray with her double cross. She genuinely wants to be good now, saying she's never had a friend. But now, she has 4 new ones. This Astronoma 3-parter is genuinely so perfect. As a kid, I didn't really like it because I was dumb. There was a lot of talking and character development that I couldn't truly appreciate at the time. But now, I obviously love it. The actors do a great job showing serious emotion, the writing and dialogue is well paced, not rushing anything. I mean, look, I hate to sound like a fanboy, but it's perfect no matter how you look at it. So let's move on to Dark Spectre's Revenge, Part 1. Andros is giving Astronoma a tour of the ship. She also receives a brand new makeover. Wow, hi, I love you. Officially turning her into Corone. However, she's not the only one receiving a makeover, with Ecliptor pinned down and Darkonda about to do some work on him. Bulk, Skull, and Professor Phenomenus, meanwhile, are stargazing, where we get this line that always made me laugh as a kid.
What, Professor? An alien!
A UFO? No, I burned my tongue with the marshmallow.
But hey, they do see an asteroid heading for Earth. Dark Spectre sends a message to the Rangers, saying that if they don't give Corone back to the Dark Fortress, that he's programmed an asteroid, somehow, to hit the Earth and destroy it. The Rangers obviously refuse and go with Plan A, planting bombs all over the asteroid in hopes to blow it up, as well as using the mega vehicles to shoot at it. It's a really intense scene, fighting off some Quantrons as well. They detonate the bombs and... it didn't work. Not even a scratch. Corone then has a plan of her own, to infiltrate the ship as Astronoma and reprogram the asteroid herself. Andros is obviously very against this since he runs the risk of losing her again, but she says that there's no other choice. Corone sneaks on the Dark Fortress. She finds the computers but gets interrupted by Ecliptor. But this isn't the same Ecliptor we know. He's been reprogrammed to obey Dark Spectre, removing any and all empathetic feelings he had for Astronoma. Ecliptor then grabs Corone by force and drags her away, losing her communication piece in the process. Her fate is currently unknown. Professor Phenomenus then tells the Nasada commander that an asteroid is heading straight for Earth, and Bulk and Skull get the idea for the 3 of them to blast off into space to avoid it. Genius. Andros is clearly heartbroken by Corone, but TJ tells him that they have one last plan: the Megazords. So they summon everything they got: the Astro Megazord, the Delta Megazord, and the Mega Voyager. They all make a beeline to the asteroid, and use everything they got to try and push it off course. Part 2 kicks off with the Rangers being so close to the plan working, they just need a bit more power. And they get it, in the form of a new Zord?
Hey guys, I'm back. I knew you'd miss me eventually.
Zane is back, baby! And together the 4 Zords actually push the asteroid off course and avoids the Earth. Zane says that this is the Mega Winger, and the rebels built it as a thanks for his help. If they could just build a Zord, then what are they doing in hiding? Anyway, Dekka tells Andros they got a lock on the Dark Fortress, where Zane is ecstatic to hear that Andros found his sister, but quickly gets told that she was Astronoma this whole time. Andros plans to go to the Dark Fortress alone, but Zane says he'll join, because he says he has an interest in Astronoma too. Andros and Zane find the Dark Fortress and sneak their way on, with Andros having a few questions.
You went out on a date with my sister? I didn't know she's your sister.
Zane broke the golden rule.
Just one date. It really wasn't anything.
The two ambush some Quantrons and steal their outfits. They find her, but something's different. She's been brainwashed, using the same programming that was done on Ecliptor, stripping away any of her human emotions, programmed to be pure evil. Zane has to pull Andros away so they can escape. The two fight through hordes of Quantron and eventually morph on out and escape, where Zane has to tell everyone the bad news, that Kpor is Astronoma again. For some levity, we get our Bulk and Skull stuff, with the three of them landing back on Earth after their shuttle crashed. Astronoma sends a monster after them, for some reason, and the Rangers gotta stop it, with the Mega Winger allowing its wings to attach to the Mega Voyager. And as a nice treat, Bulk, Skull, and Phenomenus get to ride on the Galaxy Gliders back to Angel Grove. We see how ruthless this new evil Astronoma is, instantly vaporizing Darkonda for annoying her. Andros then learns that Kpor is currently under some kind of mechanical brainwashing, that Kpor is still in there, but this device is repressing it, only allowing the evil programming to come through, ending the episode. This two-parter is once again so good. Astronoma's new personality is way more intense and threatening. She's no longer screaming like a brat or hamming it up. She speaks directly and cold. Every word cuts you like a blade.
I am Astronoma, the Princess of Darkness. You're an outcast.
This mini-arc has been perfect in every single way. But would you believe me if I told you that the best is still to come? As in, literally, the next episode. Rangers gone psycho. Ashley sees that Andros is obviously heartbroken about Kpor, so to try and cheer him up, they all go down to Adele's. Yeah, I forgot this was a place too. The Rangers hear their communicators go off, but it turns out it was just the little girl's pager that has the same sound. Important plot point! Meanwhile, Cassie and Carlos see a news report that some imposter Power Rangers arrived on scene. However, these imposters aren't here to do good. Quite the opposite, actually. The real Power Rangers show up and immediately get into a fight, with the Rangers getting whooped and asking questions about who they are. They say that they're not Power Rangers and reveal their true identities.
We're the Psycho Rangers. We're faster than you, smarter than you,
Stronger than you. But we're evil.
Thank you for adding in that last part. The Psycho Rangers are so cool. Everything from their name, costume design, and attitude. They mean business the second they show up, getting a hold of the Rangers' heads and absorbing all there is to know about them. Luckily, Zane shows up to blast at them and force a retreat. This new Astronoma is already hard at work, creating the perfect evil team to rival the Power Rangers ever seen. Yeah, Lord Zed and Rita both made evil Rangers, but they were so pathetic in comparison. Having absorbed the Rangers' information, the Psychos are sent back down to Earth to locate them. Psycho Black hears the communicator go off and springs into action, only to realize it's just some guy with that pager. Dekka informs the Rangers that the Psychos are attacking random people on Earth. TJ contacts Zane to inform him. Unfortunately though, the Psychos also catch this one, beating up Zane and taking him away. He's being held at some random house. When the Rangers show up, there's an invisible force field blocking their way. Morphing would alert the Psychos, so that's out of the question for now. Andros, though, gets an idea. The Psychos hear the communicator go off once again and track it down to the Mega Tank, where they blast at it and realize it's a decoy.
Let's rock it!
The Rangers then morph and destroy the force field. Unfortunately, the Psychos are fast, instantly catching up and having a fight. Zane, meanwhile, is able to Scooby-Doo out of the situation by dropping a vase and using the shards to cut him free. This is one of the most intense ass-whoopings in Power Rangers history. They are left beaten and battered at every corner, never standing a chance. But for some reason, Astronoma teleports them away, leaving the Rangers within an inch of their life. It's here we learn Astronoma's true plans. The Psycho Ranger's immense power comes from Dark Spectre. She wants the Psychos to destroy the Rangers, but slowly, so she can drain Dark Spectre to nothing.
You want to destroy the Rangers and Dark Spectre?
There's only room for one evil monarch, and that will be me.
Maybe Dark Spectre should have just left her alone. Carlos on call. Carlos runs into his teacher at the surf spot with her daughter, Sylvie, who instantly gets a liking to Carlos. He gets summoned away for ranger duty and decides to go into the photo booth to morph. where Sylvie finds it and learns that he's the Black Ranger. Later on, Carlos gets an email saying someone knows who he is, and when he finds out it's Sylvie, along with photo proof, he feels pretty dumb. And rightfully so. What, did you put $1 in the photo booth before morphing? She basically forces Carlos to hang out with her all day. We get a fun montage showing all the fun they're having. After a long few days, Sylvie says she just has one final request, and she'll give Carlos the picture. She wants a rock from the moon. Seems like a pretty simple request, given Carlos is a space ranger, but for some reason, this is what sends him off the edge, and he goes off on Sylvie.
You're spoiled rotten, you know that? Do you think I have nothing else to do than to haul you around and have fun?
Jeez. Well, at least Sylvie can hang out with her brother instead.
How's her brother?
He died a couple of months ago.
Oh. Yeah, Carlos learns that Sylvie's family is new in town, hence why she doesn't have any friends. And on top of that, her brother died from an unknown illness. The doctor tells Carlos that Sylvie and her brother both wanted to be astronauts when they grew up. Yikes. I bet someone feels like a dick now. We see Sylvie at her brother's grave, saying she's gonna be the best astronaut ever. That is until a monster shows up and the Rangers save her. They blow up the monster, but the Psychos also show up to take Sylvie hostage. The Psychos show up at the last 5 minutes of the episode, I guess so we wouldn't forget that they're here. The episode ends, of course, with Carlos bringing Sylvie a rock from the moon. She apologizes for blackmailing him in the first place. And the episode ends with Carlos and Sylvie still being friends, even taking her into space! Without a helmet, yeah, she's definitely dead. A rift in the Rangers. Cassie and Ashley get into a fight. Oh boy, it's one of these episodes. Cassie is cleaning and Ashley is making a mess, so they argue about laziness and all that. Meanwhile, the Yellow and Pink Psycho Rangers are strengthening their bonds. Psycho Yellow says they need to go out on their own to truly destroy the Rangers. Back on the ship, TJ has to play counselor, doing the whole, "You guys are besties, you shouldn't be arguing." They have so much in common, like, they're both the girls. Psycho Pink then attacks the city, with the Rangers coming down to fight. Psycho Yellow takes on the appearance of an old woman and captures Ashley, dragging her through the earth to an unknown location. Psycho Pink is confused though because she was told they'd be taking Cassie. So those two also get into a fight. Using this conflict to her advantage, Ashley tries to escape, where Cassie then realizes their argument was stupid and wishes they never had it. The chase scene that follows is really good. Ashley is completely helpless, even seemingly getting blown up in the process by Psycho Pink. Psycho Yellow doesn't think anyone could have survived that explosion, so she leaves. Ashley of course does survive with Psycho Pink hot on her tail, but the Rangers manage to find Ashley and Cassie rescues her, both saying they're sorry and using the power of friendship to lay the smackdown on Psycho Pink, and actually destroy her. At least, that's what it seems like at first, because I guess after destroying the Psychos, their true forms get revealed. These disgusting monsters. Anyway, bring in the Mega Voyager. They summon the Zords and fire the Mega V3 missile. And for real this time, they actually managed to destroy a Psycho Ranger. It's played up as a massive victory too. Picking them off one at a time might be their only way to victory. 5 of a kind. Dark Spectre is finally realizing that someone is draining his powers, demanding Astronoma finds the culprit. Don't worry, she's totally on the case. The Rangers meanwhile are trying to form a new strategy to fight the Psychos, where TJ has a pretty good idea. Since the Psychos analyzed their specific Rangers' fighting styles, there's no way they can take them on head to head. But if they were to mix things up, they might have the advantage. Right on cue, the Psychos head to Earth, and the Rangers give TJ's strategy a shot, with the Rangers fighting a different colored Psycho. It goes well at first, until the Psycho Rangers wisen up and get back to their specific Ranger. Astronoma is forced to teleport the Psychos away when Dark Spectre starts feeling his power being drained, with them getting more and more sick of it, just wanting to destroy the Rangers. TJ though suffered a pretty big blow in the fight. This is like the second time TJ has had a head injury. These helmets need more padding. Cassie goes to check on him, but he's busy reviewing the footage looking for a weakness. During this though, the TV has a little hiccup and loses the color, which gives TJ his new brilliant plan. With all of the Rangers now being blue, this drives the blue Psycho Ranger crazy, going through all of them until finding TJ. Psycho Yellow is the only one who doesn't bite. The Rangers actually have the advantage here. That is until lightning strikes everyone, and someone makes an appearance.
Who's that?
another Psycho Ranger, Psycho Silver. He attacks the Rangers and asserts his dominance. Psycho Blue being so frustrated at this point that he attacks Psycho Red and Black, telling them to leave and that he's gonna handle everything, which they're more than happy to oblige to. There's only one Blue Ranger left standing, and right before Psycho Blue can attack, TJ jumps off Psycho Silver's shoulders and lands an attack. But wait.
You're no Psycho Ranger!
You're right!
That's right, baby. Psycho Zane makes his debut. I wonder how well this is gonna go for the Blue Psycho Ranger. Yep, Psycho Blue then turns into his big blue monster and has ice powers now. But the Rangers turn up the heat, literally, and blast him away. Even with only 3 Psycho Rangers left, the episode ends with Andros and TJ talking about how difficult this has been. Andros saying they've barely escaped with their own lives to take down the first 2, with TJ adding that he feels like the other 3 are gonna be even tougher. Silence is golden. The Psycho Rangers are downloading the Rangers' voices, so as to not allow for any more tricks. After that, they take on human forms and roam around the mall, hoping to find a Ranger. And may I just add, Psycho Yellow. That's it. Ashley's using the payphone. What's that? And the Psychos attack. However, when they arrive, she's already gone. Ashley witnesses this though and heads back to the ship to inform everyone. Cassie, however, is still on Earth, so they page her. What's that? And tell her on the phone that she can't speak and needs to get out of there ASAP. What follows is a really tense scene, Cassie needing to navigate out of the mall without talking. She bumps into someone and gives them a flower instead of saying sorry. She does the white person head nod that translates to thank you. All is going well until a baby carriage starts rolling down the stairs. There's not enough time to run up herself, but if she says something, the Psychos will swarm to her. But as the carriage rolls closer to the edge, the Psychos immediately start looking for Cassie. They corner her, but she still doesn't speak, not confirming whether or not she's the Pink Ranger. And then, to break all the tension this episode perfectly built up, Zane shows up in a clown costume to distract the Psychos? He leaves and plays a voice recording of Cassie as bait, which they fall for and chase after Zane, with the rest of the team showing up later, much to Cassie's relief. The Rangers decide this is going to be their final encounter, taunting the Rangers and having that anime moment where they shout things.
Alright guys, let's bring it together! Power Rangers, power up!
They then have a really solid fight, with the Rangers' numbers seemingly being too much, finally having the advantage without any chicanery. And with their final attacks...
Sunlight Star!
But I'm not done yet!
Final Saber! Lunar Axe! Super Silverizer!
The Rangers defeat the Psychos. They turn into their monster forms and grow. The Rangers summon the Mega Voyager, but they're outnumbered. Hey, that's not fair! Luckily though, Zane shows up with a Mega Winger and summons the Delta Megazord. This was the #1 coolest thing when I was a kid. All of the Zords doing their finishing attacks and blowing up the Psychos. Before they can celebrate though, Psycho Black uses his tentacle to grab the Mega Voyager. Not only that, but Psycho Red and Yellow also survived, throwing Zane and the Delta Megazord on the floor. The Psychos open up a portal to drag the Megazord away. They use all available power to try and break free, but it's not enough. Carlos saying they need to ditch the Zord to survive. Andros is incredibly against this plan, however, refusing to abandon ship. So, with no other choice, Carlos knocks out Andros and they all flee, the Mega Voyager being taken away and the Psychos retreating. Astronoma asks if the Zord is hidden, with the Psychos proclaiming the Rangers are easily gonna find it. But maybe that's exactly what she wants. The enemy within. Just as predicted, the Rangers find the Mega Voyager on a distant planet, with Zane being the only one cautious about how easily they found it. Psycho Red has pretty much snapped, becoming completely obsessed with nothing else but destroying the Red Ranger, and he's not gonna let anyone stand in his way anymore. The Rangers make it to the planet, with Zane and the Delta Megazord making a grand entrance, while the Rangers sneak around to board the Mega Vehicles and create the Mega Voyager. This is where Astronoma's plan comes together. Psycho Yellow has infected the Megazord, like a computer virus, and has taken full control of it, attacking the Mega Winger and the Delta Megazord, chaining them up against a mountain. All is going well for the Psychos, until Psycho Red realizes the Red Ranger is nearby. Ecliptor teleports him away for not sticking to the plan. This is where Psycho Red completely loses it, attacking Ecliptor, yelling at the Psychos, and teleporting Andros to the ground so they can have their one-on-one fight. It goes as well as you'd expect, until Alpha shows up with the Astro Megazord, blasting at Psycho Red and allowing Andros to hop aboard. He decides that in order to remove the virus, he needs to slash at the Mega Voyager really hard. I mean, hey, it's better than no plan. While doing this, Psycho Red tries to interfere, and when Psycho Black stops him, he once again loses his temper, now also attacking the Psychos, even hitting the Mega Voyager so hard it ejects Psycho Yellow, putting the Megazord back in control of the Rangers. What follows is pretty much the coolest thing of my entire childhood. All of the Megazords on screen at once, fighting the Psycho Rangers. Like, I really don't have much to add here apart from, whoa, this is cool. So yeah, this is cool. The Rangers decide the only way to defeat the Psychos is to absorb their big blast and launch it back at them. The Zords take a lot of damage in the process, but eventually manage to throw the blast back at them via the Mega V3 missile. And
They're gone! The Psycho Rangers are history!
yeah, for real this time. The episode ends with Astronoma telling Dark Spectre that she personally defeated them when she found out they were stealing his power. She's upset she couldn't destroy Dark Spectre, and when Elgar asks what side she's on, she confidently says she's on her side. We see the Rangers finally having a moment of peace, not needing to worry about those pesky— oh my god, it's Psycho Red! Kick his ass!
I was just kidding.
You know, Zane, this is the second time your joke had some bad timing. Andros flips Zane, and the episode ends. Upon rewatching the Psycho Ranger arc, yep, still holds up. I was quoting these episodes line per line while I was watching. I watched this all the time when I was a kid. The Psycho Rangers are still probably the best villains in Power Rangers in my opinion. They were created solely to destroy the Power Rangers to an obsessive degree. I know Power Rangers loves to do the whole, "you need teamwork, kids, that's #1" message, but this arc actually managed to convey that message in a fun and not preachy or cheesy way. All of the Psycho Rangers' demise came from simply being too obsessive, attacking their own teammates and thinking they could do the job all by themselves. They easily could have been portrayed as over-the-top, wacky villains who just want to destroy the Power Rangers, but they were written and voiced to perfection. They seriously come off like insane stalkers who only think about the Power Rangers. They salivate at the thought of what they're gonna do when they get their hands on them. Psycho Yellow definitely stood out as the smartest of the group, not falling for tricks, being the most deceptive and coming off as the most level-headed. I wish we got to have a solo episode with her. Psycho Black also falls into that category, not so much deceptive or smart, but just level-headed as the real leader. Psycho Pink, Blue, and Red all had the same downfalls, too obsessed for their own good. This also being Astronoma's first plan as this new and improved Queen of Evil really cemented her as a force to be reckoned with an evilness not seen since the likes of early Lord Zed. I'm pretty sure all of these episodes were just lifted from Mega Ranger, like plot point for plot point, but I don't care. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you ever wanted to possibly get someone interested in Power Rangers, I'd always recommend showing them the Psycho Ranger arc. Every episode is played straight and serious with tons of drama and action. A lot of modern Power Rangers nostalgia relies only on Mighty Morphin, which honestly sucks. There are so many times I would have loved to see a Psycho Ranger return. Alright, that was a lot of story we went through. Where do we go from here? Andros and the Stowaway. While exploring a planet looking for Zordon, Andros notices this cute little creature, while this bigger and much less cute monster says that it's his servant. Andros whoops him and tells the little guy he's safe for now, but he's clearly taken a liking to Andros. He even manages to sneak aboard the Astro Megaship, but they can't return him to his home planet yet since they need to refuel. Ashley gives him the name Seymour, because he clearly stowed away to see more of the universe. Seymour also has a pretty big appetite, eating everything in sight. After a bad case of indigestion, we see he grew to a massive size, now also being able to talk. That monster from earlier named Jackarak returns, causing havoc on Earth until he finds Seymour. Andros being the most upset, and when Seymour sees this on the TV, he feels guilty. So he leaves the ship as to not be a bother. Andros finds him and the two share a cute moment, as well as a cookie. Andros promising Seymour that he won't let anything bad happen to him.
Don't you know you shouldn't make promises you can't keep?
Let's rock it!
A really big fight then breaks out, Jackarak even managing to fuse Seymour into his body. Andros tells Seymour he's not weak anymore. He's big and strong and knows he can break free from this prison. Which he actually does. Jackarak gets the upper hand on Andros, and Seymour once again takes a stand, even blasting him with his antenna. However, Jackarak fires back with a blast of his own, seriously injuring Seymour and taunting the Rangers, leading to probably Andros' most ass-kicking moment.
Yeah! We'll see who's the first to go down!
There is a Megazord fight, but the only thing of note is when Andros dedicates their kill to Seymour. He's all like, "This is for you, Seymour!" They return Seymour back home, and the Rangers feel bad about leaving him all alone. But it turns out he has a girlfriend. It's honestly a really emotional episode. I love Seymour, and his childlike innocence really makes you root for him. Heck, we've literally grown up with him. In the Sentai version, all of this plays out pretty much the same, the only difference being that in Mega Ranger, Seymour actually dies. I prefer the girlfriend ending.
I gotta go now.
Mission to Secret City Part 1. The episode opens up with the Rangers tracking an energy source. When they arrive though, nothing's seemingly there. But what they can't see are the ghosts of the Psycho Rangers, vowing their revenge no matter what. During a day out at the mall, the Rangers and even Sylvie are hanging out, including this cute moment between Andros and Ashley, where Andros doesn't know how to use chopsticks. Hey, don't feel bad, I'm from Earth and can still barely use them. A monster named Vaxsacker then shows up, teleporting people away. Even Bulk and Skull make another appearance, fearlessly standing up to the monster. But it's with a toaster. Oops. Andros, Carlos, and Sylvie get caught in the ray, being teleported to the secret city. When they try to morph, they can't. Andros even getting his battleizer knocked away during the fight with the Quantrons, with Sylvie finding it. The rest of the Rangers locate the secret city. They need to get in and destroy the antenna that's creating a force field, allowing the Rangers to morph inside. It's a really good unmorph sequence. They purposefully get captured and then need to essentially play spy, sneaking around and using blasters and GPS technology to locate the antenna. It's nice to see the Rangers being more resourceful when unmorphed, apart from just karate, of course. Meanwhile, Carlos returns the battleizer to Andros, saying Sylvie found it. But she's grown now and won't blackmail him. He mentions number 1 and 2 on the battleizer should be enough to get them out. When Sylvie and Carlos ask about number 3 though, he's hesitant, saying he's never done it and it could be too much power to handle. They break free from their cuffs and continue the fight. Meanwhile, TJ, Cassie, and Ashley are doing some fun reconnaissance, sneaking around and planting bombs. Good stuff. Andros and Carlos run into Vaxsacker. Andros tries that flying punch, but it doesn't go too well. He lands next to Sylvie, who's hiding in the bushes, where she pushes number 3 on the battleizer.
Are you ready for round 2, Vaxsacker?
It turns out number 3 is actually a super secret weapon he's had the whole time, becoming the Red Battleized Ranger. He's got these muscles, wings, missiles. He's like an action figure. Because he was created to be an action figure. Yeah, this was meant to market a new toy that was coming out. So the Red Battleized Ranger is an American creation. I also want to pause here really quick to say that I made a mistake in my Turbo video. I said the Phantom Ranger was also an American-made creation. I think I googled Phantom Ranger Super Sentai, and when I saw Verve Master, my brain saw it and confused it with VR Troopers. So I just assumed it wasn't a Sentai thing. My bad. Anyway, Andros is completely overpowered now. He can fly, where he saves TJ and Cassie from falling off a building, blows up the antenna, and uses his missiles to destroy Vaxsacker. After the Megazord fight, they head to the tower to destroy the secret city. However, Astronoma teleports everything away, the city and the prisoners, including Sylvie. Part 2 opens up with this scene I always hated as a kid. It's all Sentai footage, and it's 2 minutes of the Rangers exploring this empty boat. Nothing happens. The footage is all shaky, and even as a kid, I knew something was weird about this. Astronoma's plan is to kidnap all these citizens and transform them into data cards, so they can all be programmed to be her mindless zombie minions. The first victims are of course Bulk, Skull, and Phenomenus. Skull having the best reaction to it all. So many crazy things have happened to these two throughout the years. At this point, they're used to it, but sick of it. The Rangers locate the new location of the secret city. It's underwater. The Rangers show up, but Astronoma gets the drop on them, turning them all into data cards. However, the Rangers didn't come alone, unknowingly having the Psychos follow them. Their spirits go through the machine and it reanimates them, giving life to the Psycho Rangers once again. They find Ecliptor and beat the hell out of him. They retrieve the data cards and bring the Rangers back to life. Yes, the Psycho Rangers are so obsessed with defeating the Power Rangers, they will bring them back from essentially lifeless beings just so they have the pleasure of being the ones to end them. And the Rangers and the Psychos have their final battle. Probably. Andros tells Alpha to contact Zane, to tell him to go to the control room to turn the data cards back into humans. Ecliptor tries to stop him, and I'm starting to feel bad. He has spent this entire episode getting beaten up, and Zane doesn't go easy. He finds the control room and tries to reverse the process, naturally having Bulk, Skull, and Phenomenus being their first survivors. I love when Professor Phenomenus tries to explain what just happened.
We were changed into data cards by aliens. But we're okay now.
He just sounds so insane, but he's right. Zane saves the rest of the civilians and has a plan to stop the Psychos. The Rangers lure them into the control room and have a struggle to get them all in the center. When they do, Zane manages to transform them into data cards. Their evil energy was too strong apparently. During the explosion, Zane loses the Psychos' data cards. The people are saved and the Rangers all regroup above land. The episode ending with Astronoma now in possession of the Psycho Rangers. The impenetrable web. Astronoma tricks the Rangers to come down to a planet, where they get ambushed by the Quantrons and Dark Conda. Yeah, where has he been? Meanwhile, the Dark Fortress covers the Astro Megaship in a web, not allowing access to anyone but them. Ecliptor makes his way on board to find the Megazords. The rest of the episode has Alpha and Deca essentially using a Home Alone shenanigans to battle Ecliptor. Alright, I guess we needed some levity in these episodes. They managed to hold him off for a bit, but he eventually finds the location of the Mega Voyager. Meanwhile, the Rangers are held captive on this planet, until Zane shows up with his brand new toy, now available at Walmart. It's like a dune buggy, I guess. He blows up Darkonda and saves the Rangers. With the web still over the Astro Megaship, the Rangers can't help. So Zane has to go to stop Ecliptor. They have a fight, but he still manages to destroy some of the Mega Voyager's control console. Ecliptor then somehow becomes red and super powerful, growing in size. Andros uses the Battleizer to blow up the shield, and they summon the Zords to fight the giant Ecliptor. The Astro Megazord, Delta Megazord, and Mega Winger. Alright, 3-on-1. This should be pretty easy. Oh my. Ecliptor completely destroys the Delta Megazord. During the fight, however, Ecliptor eventually runs out of juice and returns to normal size, where the Rangers are able to get the upper hand on him, turning him back to normal and needing to flee. The Rangers return to the moon and check on the Mega Voyager. It's pretty damaged, but still functional, if only barely. A line in the sand. The episode starts off at night, a setting not usually seen in Power Rangers. Ashley and Andros are on a date, but off in the distance, there's a car stalking them, even trying to run them over multiple times, only barely missing. The next day, this truck hunts down the rest of the Rangers while on Earth, chasing down Carlos, and right before running him over, transports him to a desert where he can't use his communicator. This episode has always had such an eerie vibe to it. It's not a monster chasing down the Rangers, just a car. Is it a stalker or what? It doesn't talk or anything. It genuinely feels like a slasher movie with some psychopath trying to run over these teenagers. Hell, even when the Rangers do morph, their weapons are completely useless. Even Andros uses his Battleizer, and that's too weak for the car. It feels like the Power Rangers stumbled into the real world, where their fake toys don't help anymore. They all get transported to this desert planet, and even with all 5 of them, they still can't stop the Jeep. You know what eventually does stop it though? Zane's toy. They blow it up and Astronoma turns it into a monster. It has a battle with the Mega Voyager, but due to the Voyager's weakened state, it doesn't put up a great fight. The monster pulls the Megazord close and self-destructs, blowing itself and the Mega Voyager up. Yeah, The Mega Voyager is also gone now. With only 2 Zords at their disposal, the Rangers are vulnerable, where Astronoma then plans for their final confrontation. Well, we're here. The final 2 episodes of Power Rangers in Space, and Power Rangers as a whole. Countdown to Destruction, Part 1. Astronoma rallies the troops, and all the villains in the Alliance of Evil prepare for the galactic takeover. The Machine Empire's armies seem to be back at full power. Divatox and the Piranhatron are attacking the Alien Rangers. Zed and Rita are attacking the Gold Ranger. And the Phantom Ranger and the Blue Centurion are trying to defend their home planet. All seems grim. The evil forces are too powerful, slowly taking over the planets one by one. Astronoma then brings in Zordon to the Dark Fortress, giving him a front row to the end of his own era. The entire episode is one big fight for survival, the rebels on KO-35 being outnumbered, and when Astronoma's forces attack the Rangers, they try their best to fight back. Just like the Turbo finale, it's a very serious fight, surrounded by loads of rubble and destruction. The Rangers fight valiantly, but the numbers are greatly not in their favor, being forced to demorph and even retreat. Meanwhile, Astronoma has a weapon attached to a Velocifighter, a blaster that can destroy a planet. However, Darkonda sees this and steals the plane for himself, planning to use it to destroy Dark Spectre and the Dark Fortress so he can be ultimate ruler. He fires it at him and Dark Spectre seemingly goes down. Before he can blast at the Dark Fortress though, Dark Spectre uses his last bit of life force to eat Darkonda and take him down with him, ending the lives of both Darkonda and Dark Spectre. Although Astronoma seems like worried for some reason. Like, bro, this was your plan since the beginning. With Dark Spectre gone, Astronoma now reigns as Queen of Evil. She comes to Earth demanding the Power Rangers offer themselves up. If they don't, they'll destroy the Earth. Countdown to Destruction Part 2. We see the civilians in total panic, worrying that the Power Rangers have abandoned them. But it's Bulk of all people to keep the morale high and tells everyone that they need to put their trust in the Rangers. Andros feels like there's still a chance he can still reach Karone and talk some sense into her, with everyone else telling him that she's gone. Andros refuses to believe this. He sneaks away and plans to enter the Dark Fortress alone. He's stopped by Ashley though, who tells him he can't just leave. But Andros says he has to try. He tries to say that if he doesn't come back, but is quickly cut off by Ashley, saying she will see him again, where the two share a kiss. Okay, they don't, but they should. It's the last episode of Power Rangers ever. You can have Andros say fuck if you want to. What are they gonna do, cancel the show? Morning comes and Astronoma is demanding the Power Rangers show themselves. When they seemingly don't show up, the real heroes do.
I am the Blue Ranger. I'm the Black Ranger.
Bulk and Skull take a stand. They've done everything from bully the Power Rangers, envy them, and poorly imitate their actions. But here, they are the Power Rangers like they say. They're standing up to evil, not worried about the consequences, rallying everyone behind them. Before they all get into too much trouble though, the real Power Rangers show up.
Them? Ready!
Let's rock it! Yeah!
With the rejuvenated energy of everyone's high spirits, they fight the evil forces once again. However, they're not alone.
Come on, let's get in there! Who's with me?
Bulk and Skull rally the citizens of Angel Grove and leads the charge to fight head-on. This is so perfect. Meanwhile, Andros sneaks on the Dark Fortress and finds Zordon. Zordon saying that the evil forces are too strong, and the only way to stop them is to destroy his energy tube and release his power onto the galaxy, destroying all evil forces, but sacrificing himself in the process. Andros is taken back by this idea, immediately rejecting it and saying they'll just keep fighting. Zordon says that won't work. Andros raises his sword, but can't bring himself to do it. Astronoma comes back on board though. Andros tries to talk sense into her, but she's too far gone. They fight, but Andros never strikes back. Zordon's words momentarily break Dark Spectre's programming, but it takes over again. Astronoma then shoots a blast at Andros, and he deflects it with his sword. The strike flies back to Astronoma and kills her. Ecliptor shows up and is heartbroken, clearly still retaining some of that fatherly love for her. He violently swings at Andros, and Zordon pleads with him once again to destroy his tube, where Andros finally agrees. Zordon's final words are, "It's your duty as a Power Ranger to protect the universe." Andros stays silent, grabbing his saber and unleashing a strike to Zordon's tube. Andros destroys Zordon. What's been dubbed as the Z-Wave travels across the galaxy, disintegrating all evil forces, turning Zed, Rita, and Divatox into normal humans, giving them another chance at life. Just like Astronoma said, Zordon not only witnessed, but was fully responsible for the end of his own era. And he would do it again in a heartbeat. This still makes me feel something deep in my chest all these years later. The fact this little toy commercial of a TV show was able to create a 5-year legacy with recurring characters and storylines is honestly amazing. I don't think anyone would have imagined that we'd be in this spot when they first saw the pudgy pig. Andros lands the Dark Fortress on Earth, carrying Astronoma's dead body. But he cries a tear on her and magically reverts to Karone and comes back to life. I'm gonna assume it was part of the Z-Wave that did this and not the power of love. The episode ends with Andros saying goodbye to Ashley. He's staying on KO-35 with Zane and Karone, saying it's his home. Ashley's saddened by this, but Andros returns to the ship, saying his home is with them. And after all this, the Rangers can finally return home and get some well-deserved rest. Power Rangers in Space was my favorite TV show for my entire life, and after watching it for the 100th time for this video, nothing's changed. In my opinion, this is the quintessential Power Rangers season, a perfect balance of drama, action, and silliness. Andros definitely took the role of the main character. He had an interesting story with his sister, and being a new fresh face also helps. I think his actor, Christopher Kamen Lee, has one of the best hero voices. Every time he shouts, it feels powerful. He's giving his all in these performances, and I would have loved to see him possibly get into anime or something after Power Rangers, similar to Johnny Young Bosch.
That's enough! We're coming through! Power Red! Ha! Spiral Saber Booster Mode! Ha! Enough is enough! You're strong now! You can beat him! Please, Seymour, try! No way! We gotta stay with the Zord as long as we can! We're not abandoning ship!
Apparently he also hated the Smucker's hair, which breaks my heart. Not only that, but hated the fact that his tears brought Karone back to life, saying it felt too cheesy. And for my own vindication, apparently there was a kiss scene filmed between Andros and Ashley, but it was during their date for the episode where the killer car tries to run them over. Why here? Bulk and Skull definitely had the most emotional impact. They have been the longest recurring characters in this show, having genuine growth and character arcs, seeing them fully embrace the hero mindset without fear of what might happen, standing up to Astronoma boldly. It's sometimes hard to look at this and then an episode of Mighty Morphin and realize they're the same people. A part of me is so frustrated it took this long to have a consistently good season of Power Rangers. The show has always had good episodes, moments, and arcs, and I don't buy the excuse of, oh, it's a kid's show, they just want to see the pudgy pig and the Megazord. Like, I was the target audience back in the day, and even as a kid, I preferred In Space over Mighty Morphin. I was glued to the TV when the Psychos showed up and were treated like a serious threat. I honestly can't recommend this season enough. I still consider it my favorite TV show. I quote it constantly, and I'm still looking to buy all the action figures. Rewatching this years later and knowing what happens, I still get goosebumps and the biggest smile on my face with every episode. Now, granted, the grand scale nature of this season and the powerful emotional toll it took on everyone only happened because it was created in mind with this being the final season. So why not go all out? It was so perfect, in fact, that it ironically revived the franchise. Yes, Power Rangers in Space at the time was the most viewed and most successful season of Power Rangers ever. They sold so many toys and so many people were head over heels for this season. So naturally, when you have something this successful, again, you can't just ignore it. So this is where you guys now come into play. I initially made these videos with the intention of going through just the Zordon era. However, I didn't expect as much people to like the videos. So if you want to see more, let me know. And if you'll allow me, I'd love to continue this journey and go forth to the Lost Galaxy.